Pelane Phakgadi has been tracking that story for us in the Northwest. Let's take you live to him. Pelane, good evening. It certainly seems to be a second time lucky in as far as the ability to finish this conference that had to be suspended the last time it was held.
It had to be suspended the last time it was held about 2 weekends ago. The only successful matter on the agenda that was held at the time was to elect the top 5 officials of the province, that is from your chairperson to the treasurer, and that was the only formal structure that came into effect. Then there was that particular break, a long extended break of 14 days where they had to go get their house in order. Then there was a little bit of delaying and as well as far as starting the conference is concerned, because we are told of logistics, and the logistics had to do with the fact that all the hotels in the area were booked out, maybe because of the summer, so we are told, but then the delegates had nowhere to sleep on Friday evening, so they had to come in on Saturday morning. So the time that they had to start at 11 o'clock didn't happen. They only started at around 3 or 4 o'clock, and after that it was all systems go as we thought. And then there was of course nominations that happened until 5 o'clock this morning, and we of course are told about 76 names were nominated, and only just about 50 of them made threshold. And as we currently know, is that 20 females have been elected in the provincial executive committee here in the Northwest, and of course 10 other males. And that is to perhaps make up to the fact that only in the top 5 you have one woman who's the deputy secretary in the province, and no one else, but the other positions being held by men. So yes, the chairperson giving a little bit of instructions as far as his inaugural address is concerned, talking about corruption, talking about the lack of service delivery at municipalities, saying that within his office as the chairperson there will be evaluation and monitoring of performance of municipalities and those who have been deployed there. And as far as the ANC is concerned, the deployees and themselves will have to be accountable to decisions that they make that are contrary to the policies of the African National Congress. Has been talking about Newzroom municipality as well, one of those that has about 2 mayors. There's two speakers and as well as 2 municipal managers, and that he says is unheard of, and therefore has given the municipality about 7 days, which is ending on Friday, so that they can come back and give the PEC a very comprehensive and detailed analysis as what had happened, and instructed them that those who have been accepted by the ANC to be the ones who will become the speaker and the mayor should be led to continue their duties, while the municipal manager, Kathy, has to go back, the one that has been appointed duly. So successful conference rather, as Paul Mashatile had said, but it had to take a 14-day break in order for it to conclude its business.
Look at some of the comments that have been made at this conference, Pelane. A lot of reflections about the future prospects for the ANC, especially then what happens if the party is unable to renew itself, if it's unable to deal particularly with the factional issues that plague so many of its provinces. And the Northwest really is an example of just how fractured structures of the ANC can be.
Paul Mashatile was just saying that some of the reasons why you are finding such fractures that you're talking about is that there's been no formal structure since about 2018. And the last conference they held was only in 2016 that elected the Supra Mahoma as the chairperson, and it was subsequently, of course, removed, and only in 2018 then there were IPCs. So those particular interim structures, he says, and as well as Nono Maloyi as the chairperson, saying that they've affected the level of accountability in these municipalities, and people were doing as they please, and therefore bred this factionalism, and with different groupings demanding that they want to come through to make all these announcements and pronouncements that they want to be leaders. So he was also talking about branches where they were just remaining dysfunctional at all costs, but now he says the time is to try and rebuild them from the structural level as the branch, the regions, and as well as at the province. province as we speak at this moment. And Kathy, I think one important matter when they were talking about factionalism is to try and draw closer those who have gone to court and bring about the issue around the unity and renewal of the African National Congress here, at least towards 2024, because they say that they have a target, and that target is to reach about 60% of the electoral support, and if not, that would not be good enough. And they feel that although there's been a lot of analysis saying that it may be very well that the ANC may be brought under the 50% banner here to come 2024 with a united structure, and as well as that is renewed, they could very well be able to reach that 60% mark, including having to ensure that the regions at this very well are able to have their regional conferences, because they also are being led by the interim structures now. So that has been the integral part of the malfeasance and the lack of governance, collapse of governance that he says, Nono Maloyi, we have seen over the last few years. Kathy?
Before we wrap it up, what happened to those delegates that tried to stop this conference from going ahead in court? Were they part of it?
Some of them did not come to conference, and some of them did actually come back to conclude conference. I think the message was loud and clear from the African National Congress, NEC. Dakota Logoete said that there has been precedents in the 1956 era and as well as in the 1970s that there is just no way that people will not come back to conclude conference, because if they don't conclude conference, they then set a precedent where they could actually be expelled, because they are representing, I could say, branches and not their individual interests. So if in that regard, that in itself shows you that the ANC in this instance wants to come and rebuild itself. And those who have gone to the court, they say that they are extending an olive branch and as well as a hand of friendship to try and renew. So Bushimap was here. He had earlier accepted nomination and came back to withdraw it, and he's the current premier, and he said that he's willing to be working with the African National Congress. But of course, this and many more that was happening here, and some of the addresses, of course, from Nono Maloyi. Take a listen at what you had to say.
Time for endless talks is over. It is now time for action. Less talk, more work. So let us begin. And as we begin, I hope all of you will note what I'm going to say. I hope you have pens and papers to write, because I want, when you go out of this conference, you must go back to your branches and give a report back, because you were delegated by your branches, so you must report to your branches. Now, we all know, and we must all acknowledge, that our branches are led by individuals who are not supposed to be leading the ANC. Or let's say some of our branches, not all. Some of these individuals, they are clueless, they don't understand the African National Congress, but they are leaders of the ANC. They don't even call branch executive committee meetings of the ANC. They don't call branch general meetings of the ANC. The only thing they do is to go to government offices and say, I'm a chairperson of the branch, I want this tender and that tender.
The doubting Thomases were saying this conference won't succeed. They quarrel about everything. And we said, no, there are good men and women in the Northwest. There are good men and women in the Northwest, in the branches of the ANC that exist. Conference here in Day, and here it is. Babu Taba to our conference in but how you are talking about the shambles. Barry conference and in shambles. What is this? This is no shambles. This is a proper conference of the African National Congress. So Comrades, let me try and not keep you long so that I want to start, comrades, by saying to Comrade Nono, you know, when you spoke this afternoon, listening to you, I'm more than convinced that the branches of the ANC in the Northwest have elected the right leader.
All right, Pelane, we'll leave it there for tonight. Pelane Phakgadi out in the Northwest. Let's